I'm Janice, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about me. So I'm the youngest of 5 children, and if you know anything about birth order, the baby of the family likes to have fun, and the baby of the family kind of thinks they're a little bit special, and they're a little bit more outgoing. This is just all typical, and that is kind of me. So I was the youngest of 5. I grew up in Ontario. But I'm also 6 years younger than my next siblings, so that means I'm a little bit independent. I'm kind of like a firstborn, and I'm kind of like an only child. So I've got lots of characteristics of me wrapped up in one, and that's why I can't quite pinpoint my identity, but I do love to have fun. I love people, and I love lots of things. So I grew up in Ontario in a town called Oakville, and I attended this school. It's called St. Mildred's Lightbourne School, and it was all girls, and I stayed there from grade 4 to 7, and then I left there to go to the Oakville Christian School, which was the first time it had ever opened, the first 2 years, and it was started by Graham Roxborough, our soccer coach's grandparents. So I love that little connection with our Trinity even back then.
How do, Mary? I'm fine. Oh, Kirk, you look so handsome. What a beautiful shirt. I guess I am pretty handsome. Mary Lou! Doesn't he look great? Not as handsome as the cowboy I just saw coming up the road. Come and see, Mary Lou. What's going on here? The other girl.
And Gerda rushed Mary Lou off to see the handsome stranger. Kirk just stood there in shock and anger as a strange, new, and horrible feeling welled up inside of him. Gerda was jealous.
In grade 9, I went to a conference in Kansas, and I heard a guy named Bill Bright. He was the president and founder of Campus Crusade for Christ, and it was a college-age student thing, but my parents brought me along, and Bill Bright said, don't ask God to get you through university, but to use you at university, even if it means staying an extra year. And for me, as a just turned 14-year-old, it really challenged me to make a difference, even at 14. So I left my Christian school and went to the local public school, and I helped get a Christian club started there, and we had up to 60 kids coming. It was fantastic, and that led me into high school. Okay, so in high school, when I was 15, there was an airplane crash in Gander, Newfoundland, and 256 American soldiers died in our country right before Christmas. I didn't think much of it until my mom had compared the accident to 10 classrooms at my high school where each person had someone die. All of a sudden, it was personal. And I said, Mom, what are Canadians doing? She said, I don't know. So that night I wrote a letter to the Toronto Star newspaper saying I'd like to donate my babysitting money to plant trees as a living memorial for these soldiers who died in our country. I said, God, I'm 15. You do what you want with this. And he did. He snowballed it. It was in the media all over the world. Our neighbors were in Mexico, read about me in Mexico. A guy in Oregon heard about me. He had planted trees on Mount St. Helens after it erupted. And he helped us coordinate with Fort Campbell, the second largest Army base in America, to plant 256 Canadian sugar maple trees at the Army base. Just this past December, I went back with my husband to Fort Campbell to dedicate a new forest of trees because our trees had grown up into forest and had intertwined. But I'm an honorary member of the 101st Airborne Division, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and this is an important part of my story.
Say to me, why don't we see miracles like there used to be? I still believe in miracles. God hears us when we pray, 'cause God was God back yesterday and God is God today. God can do it again and again and again. He's the same God today as he always has been. Yesterday, now, forever, he's always the same. There's no reason to doubt God can do it again.
When I was trying to figure out what university I wanted to go to, I applied at McGill, Queen's, Western, University of Toronto, but I didn't apply to Trinity, even though 3 of my sisters had already attended. I was like, I'm not gonna go where they went because I wanna set my own trail. And then someone from Trinity said, Janice, would you consider Trinity for 1 year? I thought, oh, I can do 1 year. So I came, and I thought, if I'm gonna come, I'm gonna pour myself into it. So I ran for freshman president, and I won. And I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, because the reason I had the confidence to run for freshman president, because I had run for campaigns in high school and lost both times. But between high school and university, I actually worked on a presidential campaign in America, which is like, who does this when they're 18 and they're Canadian? But I was the assistant to a guy running for president. His name was Pat Robertson. I know you're thinking televangelist, but he did run for president. And he was competing with George Bush for the head of the Republican Party at the time. And I got to be his assistant. And it's a long story how that happened, but it was an amazing opportunity. And I learned a lot. So I came to Trinity in the fall, and I won freshman president. And it was so fun. We had such a great 4 years while I was at Trinity. And I met my husband while I was at Trinity. So we finished after 3.5 years. He had gone to Briarcrest for a year, and I had grade 13. So we actually graduated a semester early, and we got married. So here's my veil. This is me, and this is us. So he has his hair cut like Charlie Peacock. Scott, you might appreciate that, because Charlie Peacock's a Christian recording artist. And our photographer was a guy named Anna Kavukian, who had done portraits for the Queen and Princess Diana and Peter and Janice. And then just a few months after we got married, we actually walked another aisle. In April 1992, we both were history majors and graduated from Trinity Western University together. I have been blessed with some really cool jobs. And though being a parent is my absolute favorite job and the most important job, I love jobs that have given me a sense of purpose and meaning. One of them is a ministry called Life Story that I did right after I graduated from Trinity. I was working with this ministry, and I was able to record the life stories of people who reached the pinnacle of world success, but realized there had to be something more. And that's when they found Jesus. And so we created these evangelistic tapes. We were able to distribute over 1 million of them globally. But people who were like pro athletes or business executives or actors. And the vision behind these tapes was that it was an easy way for people to share their faith. So if you knew someone who was a golfer but wouldn't go to church, but they would listen to the life story of a pro golfer, then they might listen to that and they could have a chance to hear the gospel. So it was pretty fun. I got to travel a lot, brought my husband with me on these trips, and met tons of really interesting people, and I loved that job. But then I had 4 kids. I'm going to introduce you to my kids, because that is really a big part of my life. So this is my family when they were little. So we had Tori and Lincoln and Virginia and Lewis. And this would have been 2004 when they were all little. But my kids have all had the opportunity to go to Trinity. So first there's Tori. Tori graduated in 2017, 18? I don't know. And she met her husband Silas, and they live in Switzerland. And Silas played hockey at Trinity, and he now plays hockey professionally in Switzerland. And this is my son Lincoln, and he graduated this year, and he's heading off to Atlanta this summer with Chick-fil-A. And my daughter Virginia, she's getting married in June to Devin, and they met through Village Church. And Virginia's going into her 4th year of nursing, and she's going to be a fantastic nurse. And then my youngest is Lewis. He was born on my birthday, December 30th, and he is going into his 2nd year, I believe, of education. But if you like to watch fun videos, he does YouTube videos of trampolining, snowboarding, biking, and he also plays junior hockey. So yeah, he's my baby. Like I said, I've had really cool opportunities to do jobs that were meaningful. And one of the jobs, the first job I had after being home for 12 years with my kids, was working, helping produce a TV show called Marriage Uncensored. And we brought in guests like Henry Cloud, Gary Smalley, Gary Chapman, Dr. Laura Schlesinger. And it was so amazing to have an opportunity to smuggle truth into how to have good marriages into people's living rooms. But when that show got canceled, I got the opportunity to have another dream come true, and that was be able to work in a ministry that called a Wellspring with Richard Taylor, doing schools in Rwanda. And so that was an amazing opportunity. Did that for 3.5 years, and then got recruited to come work with parents at Trinity Western. So the day that I told Richard Taylor that I was going to Trinity was the day he told me he was moving to Africa. So it was a perfect time to say farewell, and now we're reunited at Trinity, which is super cool. Something else about me is that I love to read books that inspire and challenge me. So whether it's positive motivational books, whether it's challenging me in my Christian faith, whether it's reading biographies of heroes of the faith, but most important to me is my Bible. And I'm very grateful for a mom that had me start to memorize scripture at age 2. And she would send me across the street to Mrs. Norman's house, and I would recite my scriptures to her. And she wasn't a Christian, but it was actually pretty special. So you probably all know that I live in a farm. It's called Poplar Hill Farm. My husband named it many years ago. In fact, when I was making jam one time, I wrote Popular Hill Farm because it just came out. So they love hosting people here. But we have Nigerian dwarf goats. This is Anne and Gilbert. And Anne and Gilbert are named after the characters from Anne of Green Gables. So if you haven't watched the 1980s movie of that or read the book, you need to. It's really good. And we have chickens. So during this COVID, I actually had to go to 3 different grocery stores to buy eggs. So I decided to just buy my own chickens. I think my dog just chased them away. These are our birds. We get lots of eggs every day. And this sweatshirt, I bought one for everyone in the family and gave them to them for Christmas. And this is the Poplar Hill Cattle Co. And my husband and I got into grass-fed Herefords, and we have 13 cows right now. So it's been quite an adventure. So if you know, I was raised in Oakville, live on a farm now. It's been just a privilege to just watch what God has done in and through our story. And thank you for listening.